107.5 WBLS, your number one source for R&B.
107.5 WBLS. My name is Jay Lorenzo. How you guys doing? We're here on WBLS.com. And I want you guys to meet two young men who I'm very proud to say are here visiting us at the station. They're going to tell you a little bit about who they are and what they are doing. Fox News and CNN and other outlets may not praise these young men like we are about to, but I want you guys to get familiar with who they are. Gary and Orlando, please, just tell them who you are and what you guys are about.
I'm Gary. I'm from Baltimore. We're here right now and just talking about the situation at hand with Freddie Gray and everything like that. You know, it's a lot going on in the community. It's a lot kind of snowballing from the effect that we're doing and we have been doing. We're getting involved with a lot of community stuff. Trying to push past Baltimore, push out of Baltimore, and get it on a bigger platform.
Mm-hmm. I'm Orlando Gilyard. I'm an artist. I'm an activist. I'm from Baltimore City. And to piggyback off what Gary said, we basically trying to create an awareness about what's going on in Baltimore City and what's going on all across America and the society with police brutality, whether it may be that or just things negatively that's going on in the community that we could change.
Now, how are you guys specifically doing that? Because you're doing it in a unique way, which we haven't seen for about 20 plus years or so. So what are you guys actually doing specifically with activism?
Well, first and foremost, me and my brother Gary Johnson and a few other members of our community, we organized a gang truce for Freddie Gray and for us to unite as black men and black women in general. And we used that as the mold to basically make something bigger out of it, and it did. It took a big effect on the community in a positive way, and a lot of people, they just came to us and was like, man, if y'all can do that, if y'all can unify the gangs, then it must be something serious going on in the community, and we got to jump on board. And a lot of people have been jumping on board with the unification.
Mm-hmm. Who was the first person to reach out? Who was the first person to be like, I gotta make a move. I gotta start this, and I have to call, because you guys are, you know, let's call it what it is. You guys are affiliated with gangs. Right. So, being that line was crossed, who was the first person to call the other side and be like, you know what, we gotta stop?
You know what's crazy? It kind of all started from a DM. I called my brother right here, and I was like, Gary, I think I got something big that we can do. He was like, what? I was like, we could start a gang. We could start a truce. He was like, man, that's a good idea.
Wow.
So we started a DM, tagged about 20 of our people that we know, Crips, Bloods, BGF, Muslims, and we just tagged them in, and the message went from there. And I didn't even know till probably a few weeks later that when we got down City Hall and brought the truce down City Hall, it was actually already Bloods and Crips there already.
Wow.
So we just basically helped the cause and made it bigger. And it wound up being a snowball effect. Everything that we did went viral.
So really, in our community, it was like kind of like an overnight kind of thing, because the marches and the protests and the rallies had started. Because people may not know that the incident that happened to Freddie Gray, he didn't actually pass away until maybe a week later. So when he actually passed away is when the marches and the rallies kind of kicked up into overdrive. So when Orlando called me and said, look, this is what I want to do, I said, okay, I'm going to support you any way I can. Let's do it. I'll make the phone calls that I have, the contacts that I have. And like he said, it started with a DM. And we're talking about pretty much less than 24 hours. We went down to a big rally at City Hall. And then it just spread from there. It was about 40 to 50, you know, organization members that were there that day. And the Nation of Islam came as well. And those are actually the pictures that everybody saw that went viral from that day.
Right. Let's talk about that day. Let's talk about that day that Baltimore erupted and riot and fire, you know, these depictions that we saw in the news. Let's talk about that day. So you guys, where were you that day before everything started happening?
I believe we were in the house, and we called each other like, bro, you see what's going on? Like, stepped out. We came out in the community, even after all the buildings were burning. And actually, when that went on, that's when we got our first interview.
Wow.
Our first big interview with Channel 11. We were driving around and we just was seeing cars on fire, people running around with shirts around their face, people throwing bricks through windows, and it was chaotic, like in every sense of the word. And we were riding around looking for our homeboys to try to do what we set out to do, which is protect the community. And we wind up bumping into a lady from Channel 11 at a church called New Shiloh in Baltimore City, and she interviewed us about what was going on right that minute. And the riots were going on at that minute when we got that first interview.
To add, that day was when the description or when the word came out where Baltimore City Police Department said they had a credible source saying the gangs were, in fact, uniting to do something against cops. So with everything that was going on with the kids and the rioting, or the uprising, as we like to say, and the so-called looting, we knew we had another thing to combat at the same time as well. So that is also why we had purpose outside that night while we were back into the community at that time. And the way it worked was, like he said, the lady from a popular news channel happened to be where we were at that time, and we took the advantage to say, you know what, just give us a minute of your time. You need to talk to us. And she did.
Talk a little bit about, even though people saw it on TV, but being there, talk about what was going on and what was going through your heart.
Well, first let me say that Baltimore and a lot of places where we are, it's already completely run down, right? So some of these people in some of these areas, sadly enough, it wasn't too far out of the norm for them seeing people running in and out of stores with masks on and burning buildings and stuff like that. But me, I'm 28 years old and I've lived in West Baltimore my entire life, right? So I haven't ever experienced anything like that. And the direct comment that I actually made was that I imagine to myself, if I ever saw anything like that or witnessed or experienced anything like that in my life, I wouldn't imagine to be actually living afterwards. So to say apocalyptic or to try to put it in words, it's really no words to give it justice to the way that moment was that night on that Monday night.
Yeah, and I don't even think people can fathom the things that we saw. These are events that haven't took place since the 60s in my city. So you probably will only see something like this once in a lifetime. It was very memorable, very memorable.
Let's talk a little bit about the mayor of Baltimore. A lot of people were criticizing her because she wasn't aware of necessarily, what was going on, and she may have been too slow to react, so to say. But how do you guys rate her as far as her involvement in what was going on? And you could be honest, like this is an honest forum,
Miss Rawlings, I don't really think she has a connect with the community. Right. She doesn't connect with the people. Like she called people thugs and then took it back. She doesn't have her mental connect is not with the people. Right. And that's just where it's at. And that's why a lot of people have anger towards Miss Rawlings because she doesn't have that connect. She doesn't understand what we're going through and where we're coming from. Right. All she's saying is the CVS is being burnt down or a window being broken. That doesn't bring Freddie Gray back.
Yeah. Yeah. And I found it. I was like, you have to, in order to be a mayor of a city, you should know all aspects of that city.
Right. You should have compassion.
Right. You should know that this is not the first incident in Baltimore, or this is certain areas in Baltimore and across the country that's suffering.
We were out literally every day, right? Pretty much operating off straight God power. No sleep, no food, girlfriends getting mad at us, that type of stuff, right? Yeah. Did you see our mayor? One day?
One day.
Ever? Anything other than on TV?
Okay. Never saw her.
She didn't come down to where you guys were at all?
No.
Wow.
Not while the community was out, not while the stuff was going on, not while the rallies. And I understand it was only like uprising and rioting for 7 hours on one day, right? Everything before and after that was, organized and peaceful marches and rallies and stuff like that. So it's not like it was this big chaotic scene and she wasn't there because, she doesn't want to be amidst of the chaos.
I think she came out one time to help enforce the curfew.
I did see that. Yeah, I saw that.
Something
on
like that. She
TV.
helped enforce the curfew, and we were in the streets trying to get people out of the street. We wasn't protecting the police or anything like that. We were policing our own community, our own people, because at the end of the day, we don't want to see harm being brought to our people.
Right.
And we're right there, and we know that we can help stop it. So that's what we did. And she was basically out there trying to enforce the curfew and thanking people for getting out the street. But the emotional and mental connect wasn't there. It was a lot of tension towards Ms. Rawlings that night.
Well, the aftermath of what went on, you guys are really doing something special because you want to take this across the country. And we had a chance to speak yesterday, and we talked about it, and you were like, we're in Jersey. You said, is there anything that goes on like this in Jersey? I said, no. Something that goes on like this in New York, this is kind of, you guys are the foundation of this truce with gangs for black unification. So where do you guys want to take this, and how far do you see it going?
I see it going globally, but I think people not only have to see it on television, we have to talk to these people face to face. We got to actually get in front of these people and let them know where we're coming from and the changes that could be effectively made if we do stick together. Sometimes you gotta break it down to a person in 3D. Like, why are you doing what you're doing? Why are you continuing to do what you're doing if you're not getting any positive outcome from it? And this is a good cause. And if you say you're a gang member, and if you go back in your history and see why gangs were first organized, then you would see that this is a righteous cause. So it shouldn't be any hesitance with joining the movement. But you always had those ones. Like I say, we can't control the minds of everybody. But the critical thinkers and the ones who really know should be on board. And that's why we want to get out and get to these different cities and these different markets and really spread the word.
So you've seen resistance from other members in gangs, no, I'm not doing that.
Yeah, whether it's social media, people reach out and just say something ignorant. I mean, you can't even really give that fuel. You just got to keep pushing and do what you know in your heart is right. Like, we made a lot of sacrifices for this. Like,
of course,
I had a full-time job. I got suspended from my job just for being in the media.
That's crazy.
And I took it in stride. Like, I know what I'm doing is right. Nothing right now can deter me from what I'm doing. And that's where I'm at with it. And that's where we both are at with it.
Well, that's interesting that you say that. I want to know, before you guys put this responsibility on your back, what were you guys doing prior to everything going on?
I was working at the Marriott.
Wow.
I pretty much quit my job.
Yeah.
And I was working at a college, and I'm an artist. I'm an artist in Baltimore, and this is my manager. So we mainly was working on music. Yeah. Everything was music. Like, how we gonna get to the next level? How we going to the next level? How we going to the next level? Constantly working and working and working. And we already had, a small little following in the city. So when this happened and we felt like we could make a change, it just winded up getting very big.
People like Prince, who threw that benefit
shout
concert.
Out to Prince.
Yeah.
Big shout out to Prince.
Yeah. Were you guys there?
No, we wasn't there, but we heard about it. Big shout out to Wale. He came to Baltimore. Big shout out to Wale.
Okay.
He came to the city and spoke. But we felt like it should have been more. Like, some of the more prominent figures. We don't really have to get into names.
Yeah.
We all know who should have spoke up. But, that's what we're here for now.
You feel like some of those artists, they feel like they can't use their rights because, they may catch backlash or maybe damage into their brand? Like, what do you think is the reason?
I think people are mainly just being selfish. I think they're looking at it in the aspect like, oh, if I speak out on this and give my opinion, it might hurt my brand and hurt what I'm trying to do. And I just think that's why they're refraining from speaking out. I'm not even looking at that. What's right is right at the end of the day.
That's understandable, but at the end of the day, what does that say about you as a person?
Exactly.
We're men. We're men and we're women. I'm sorry, it's men and women out here that are fighting for a cause. You know what I mean? And us as men, how do you consider yourself to be this strong type of person if you're not willing to step up, if you're not willing to put your foot down and try to have effective change?
What are your friends and family saying about you and you guys are taking off. You guys are everywhere, you know. How are they receiving you guys?
It's kind of surreal because we have numerous kids, ladies, women, men coming up to us crying, family members like, y'all famous, y'all celebrities, and we just like, man, we not famous.
Yeah.
Because we feel like what we're doing is it's natural. It's what we're supposed to be doing. So we're not looking at it like, oh, okay, we in the limelight now. This is what we're supposed to be doing. If we have the platform to do it, we're gonna do it. And it's just like I said before, it had a snowball effect, and people are really proud of us from all across the world. I got people hitting me from Germany, Switzerland, just places like that, man, telling me they're so proud of me and proud of us and what we're doing. And I'm just very thankful and very humbled by it.
What's the next steps? What's the next steps for y'all? How can people get involved, and how can people show their love and support?
At the end of the day, it just starts with being honest about what's going on and being honest with yourself. Whether it's you making a post about Black lives, whether it's you participating in a rally, or whether it's you donating to some type of charity, any effort counts to what's going on. Any effort counts.
And coming to find out, we're actually working on getting a media tour, a press tour, to go maybe to colleges or to different cities that have similar situations, similar backgrounds, similar communities. So that's what we have coming up next.
Okay. And where can people find y'all? Social media, websites, anything, music?
I'm on Instagram at Magic200, MAGIK 200. You can follow me right there and get to all my links and get to my other social medias. I'm right there, MAGIK 200.
And I'm on Instagram at Believe That Jeezy. That's BLEE_DAT_GEEZY. Believe That Jeezy.
Guys, I can't thank y'all enough for coming through.
Thank you.
We appreciate that, man.
This is, something that we want to continue showcasing that, we can unify at any cause and really build our communities.
Absolutely.
And I'm extremely proud of you guys, of course. 107.5 WBLS, we are out. Peace.